Hello Internet, it's Alex and Davey, and we're doing a sequel to the video with me and Louis, where we've again got 5 cabs, 5 different speakers. These are all barefaced AVD reformer cabs, and as standard they come with a V30, but here we have a selection of different, more rock drivers.
Yeah.
V30 is very rock, but these are kind of bluesier.
Yeah.
They're not as metal.
Not as metal, they have
apart from the Redback, but
yeah, they have the bite, but it's still kind of have mellower.
They're mostly so. What we have here, we have the Heritage here, G12-65 Heritage, which is kind of smoother sounding, and we're going to keep the Heritage on, and then we're going to add different drivers to it. So we've got the H-75 Creamback up here, we've got the Redback here, so that's sort of super powered Creamback. We've got the Neo Creamback down here, so that's a Neo magnet version of the Creamback, which does sound like them but different, and the M-65 Creamback here, which is the smaller magnet one, which sounds kind of warmer and thicker and less aggressive than the H-75. And I think we'll also do a bit with the Heritage on its own, so you can see what adding a second driver does to it. Large diaphragm mic out here, so they're about me and a bit apart, 7 or 8 feet away, so you can hear the AVD doing its thing. AVD being the thing in the back that lets mids and highs out, spreads them around the room, and gets you more low end as well. So you get a nice big fat sound even from a tiny cab. So we're going to try and be efficient. We'll go through these and then we'll keep a different driver constant and change them so they'll be like this video again and again and again.
And again,
so there'll be
again,
5 videos so you get an idea of how this family mixes, and if you want to hear other mixes, tell us, otherwise we'll then, I think we might do a lower power load, because we could do the EVH and the Greenback and the Anniversary and maybe a blue.
Yeah,
the gold.
That'd
be
sure.
cool.
We've been working on a lot of high power. We're working with a lot of high power drivers recently. So
but if you've got 212s with a lot of guitar amps, you don't need a high power driver, because unless you're using like this JCM 800 out here, you know, you might be using 20, 30, 40, 50 watts, so you'll be fine with those lower power things. But these all sound cool, and I don't think you need to worry too much about guitar speaker power handling with guitar cabs. Though they do change as you crank them. That's what we have noticed.
Yes.
You don't need to crank them so much with ours, so yeah. Right,
so we're going to go with some clean stuff first. Ease in, middle pickup, a little bit of delay. Yeah, let's go.
Oh, it's confusing, isn't it?
Oh,
so
yeah.
that sounded like guitar.
Yes, that sounded like a guitar. It was quite hard, because I think from where I'm standing, obviously,
you'll be hearing the one that's closest to you. So that being the H-75.
Yes. So I'm obviously getting the most of that, but even where I'm placed, I'm loving the sound of the Creamback.
Do you mean the Neo?
The Neo Creamback, sorry.
The Neo Creamback,
yeah.
Yes.
So the Neo Creamback, I'm loving the sound of that mixed with it. I feel like that gives it just enough of a push. I feel like it brings the best out of this driver in particular. I can't really say why. I think it's I think it just gives it that kind of lower mid. Maybe
Interesting.
Kind of like,
so what I'm hearing, because I did the last video of this with Louis, so I've kind of had a first round hearing them and hearing so that we kept the H75 constant and changed the others. And that's quite interesting because the H75 is quite domineering in this stack of 5.
Yeah.
Technically, the H75 is a 100 dB speaker and the Redback is also a 100 dB speaker, but the H75 is more mids, particularly upper mids.
Yeah.
It's more aggro. Whilst the Redback's got more top and bottom and less mid, so it doesn't sound as loud. It's like a loudness button thing.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Heritage is smooth sounding.
Yeah.
So then you really do hear the colour the other ones are adding. And I felt when we played the H75, when you played through the H75, there was this upper mid aggro pushy thing. And then when you went to the Redback, there was more bite.
Yeah.
There was fullness and bite, but not as so. There was top and bottom. And then the Neo Creamback, what I noticed with that, it's got this sparkly thing. It's got this really delicate sparkle on top. And I noticed that, and I wasn't noticing the low mid, so I'll have
Maybe it was more just that it had this, and by covering those sparkly highs, it then let the low mids of this shine through.
That's
probably what my ears are kind of
well,
trying to make sense
it's
of.
complex, isn't it, when these things interact? Because the sound's coming out of the speaker, it's doing its thing in the room, but with our AVD cabs, it's coming out of the back, and then you've got 4 sound sources all melding.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really 4 sound sources because every wall and every reflection is another secondary sound source.
Yeah.
So then by the time you hear it, your ears sort of stuck together, a huge pile of sounds. And it's only if they're really delayed they sound like delay, or well, really delayed they sound like reverb, or super delayed they sound like delay.
Yes.
Otherwise they just sound like a big sound.
Mm.
And the M65, that's thick, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
That's what we're in at the moment.
let's change sound. Are you tuned? Ish. I'll let you tune.
Yeah. It's just the G string for some reason on this one. Yeah.
That's always the problem, thing, isn't it, on guitars?
Generally, yeah, but on this one in particular, it really doesn't like it. A bit of dirt, something slightly...
If you have any other... Because it keeps doing it on this guitar. If you guys know what it is when a guitar's doing this, because is it that we just need different machine heads, different tuners, but they're quite expensive, decent machine heads. And this is a Sire. They're actually pretty decent locking machine heads. I mean, they're crazy good for the money.
Mm.
But you can't expect the world's best guitar for only a few £100.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, with having these locking with these locking tuners on the back, you'd expect it to...
So the strings shouldn't be slipping, so then
shouldn't be slipping that much,
Then
no.
is this moving? But that's unlikely.
Maybe. Let us know in the comments if you...
Yeah, let us know.
That'd be great.
So something dirtier. I think it'll be more obvious what's going on as soon as we get a bit dirtier.
Yes, yes. So I'll go to the bridge pickup this time.
So on that, when I just put the useful bit of plywood out the way, that was when we'd just gone back to the Heritage on its own. So we could just hear that soloed.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. I don't know if you guys are hearing it. I don't know if you're hearing it there, but don't you find that when there's just the one speaker, it's more focused?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, it's confusing.
It really is, isn't it?
I was editing the previous video, and I think when it's all put into perspective of like it's going through one microphone, and you're hearing them blended in that way, it's like okay, it's obvious because it's like you can hear that here, but when actually in the room, yeah, it's like weird, like kind of like almost like having like these like phase effects.
Yeah, there absolutely are. There absolutely are.
Which
your ear's hearing it from multiple sources in stereo, and you're playing guitar at the same time. And although I'm not playing guitar, I'm trying to keep track.
Yeah.
what the switch is doing and what the bit of wood's, saying.
I was like leaning over the wood to be like, oh, what is it? Just so I can kind of have a better idea. I think I just need to keep.
It is really interesting. So I felt that when the Heritage does have a really nice sound through the mids on its own, doesn't it? It just speaks really beautifully. And when you add the H-75, that feels like quite similar, but more angry and dirty.
Yes.
And when you add the M-65, it's also quite similar, but kind of in a kind of dirtier and less clear and warmer.
It might just be where it's placed, but with this, it feels like it sits just on top of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I do think. I think even if we swap the locations, I think we'd still hear that thing. It wouldn't be as obvious.
Whereas that feels like sits. It's literally sitting underneath it, but it feels like sonically it even sits just.
I feel this adds bark, and this adds thickness.
Yes, that's a good.
And I think so. Next, we'll keep moving around so they're in different locations, so it'll kind of even out the differences. There's going to be changes in boundary reinforcement, but thankfully this is guitar, not bass, so it's not near as much of an issue. Yeah. So my summary so far. When you got the Heritage on, you add the Creamback, H-75, and it adds bark. The M-65 adds thickness. The Redback adds bite.
Yeah.
It's that lower treble aggro thing.
Yeah.
Adds bite. And I think the Neo Creamback adds sparkle.
Yes.
And air. Which, if you can hear that from there, that's quite significant because it's right down there.
Yeah. With a little bit of dirt on, with a bit of overdrive on, you could hear it more what you're saying. But I think clean, and it might have even just been to do with pickups, the difference in that. But yeah, like I said, it felt like it was kind of giving what this was lacking, but it meant that it had the room to shine in terms of its mid quality.
And I think as soon as you add a second speaker of any type, as long as they're vaguely similar, you always get extra fatness. It's always a sort of bigger sound, which is why 212s are great. And as a bassist, I'm a really big fan of using matching speakers and maximum coherency, because bass tends to get lost in a blur in a room. It's different in the studio, but live, so I'm always hunting for focus and togetherness and immediacy. But so many of these great guitar sounds that actually come from kind of the opposite of that, of having diversity and complexity, even a bit of mess. Yeah. You know? I know
what you mean.
So two speakers can be really cool. It's two different speakers, which I hadn't realised it would be that much when we started doing these cabs. But, it's been 5 years of learning since we've been selling them, and obviously years before of experimenting.
Do you want to try something a little bit more distorted, or do you want to
let's maybe something a bit quicker so we hear the right hand differences.
Cool. I think I know just the thing. I'm going to go for the Rat.
Cool. Let's start with the Heritage on its own.
Yep. That's a good plan. Wow, yeah.
That was mind blowing.
Really tell the difference there.
That was so. I love the Neo Creamback. That was great.
Yeah, it's amazing pairing.
It's thick and it's so. Here's what I heard. So the Heritage on its own is cool.
Yeah, really cool.
But it's definitely mellow. And then we added the M65, and it didn't sound much. I think the M65 and the Heritage are really quite similar.
Yeah, and by sharing that load, it felt they were kind of subtracting from each other in that context.
I don't think they were that. Yeah, they weren't that. And then when we added the Neo Creamback, it gained bottom and top. I felt it was punching harder. You felt this. It was chugging.
Yeah,
even though
Heritage was doing that, and then you add it in. Neo Creamback
great.
slot.
So you've got all this mid-range vibe coming from the Heritage, and then this added this top and bottom. And the top goes higher than any of these. That's the Neo Magnet, I swear. I think when you've got a Neo Magnet, the magnet itself is smaller, and then you end up with smaller metalwork to get the magnetic flux into the magnetic gap that the voice coil's in. And I think because there's less metalwork around, I think you get less sort of parasitic inductance on the voice coil, so the voice coil lets the high frequencies through more, so you get more bite.
Yeah,
that's why it changes. That is my theory based on speaker design knowledge.
Yeah,
and the Redback, that's actually quite like the Neo Creamback, but kind of less toppy.
Yeah,
more bitey toppy, less airy toppy.
Yeah, and
then the H75s, it's definitely got this upper mid push and dirtiness. Yeah, it's fascinating. It really shows. Yeah, that's Neo Creamback plus Heritage.
That's a great combo.
That's really cool.
Love it.
That's a really unique combo. I would never have thought of that. I've tended to think of the Neo Creamback as like, oh, go for it if it's nice for more detail in the clean stuff, but then with most other stuff, it's like, well, if the minimum weight is critical, go for it. Otherwise, have a real Creamback. But no. It's its own animal.
Yeah.
Celestians say it's somewhere between the two. I don't think it is.
No.
I think it's a third cream. It's related, but it's
very loosely.
Yeah, very loosely. Cool.
Should we swap?
Let us swap some things around. We're back. We have a different guitar, and we have the M65 Creamback as our always-on speaker, and then the same four before: the Heritage, the H-75 Creamback's now down there, Neo Creamback's there, Redback's there.
Cool.
Let's go.
Let's go.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That made a lot of sense. The M65 is a really distinct colour.
Feels a lot more subtle than the rest.
It's a little... Is it quieter? Is it the quietest?
Definitely quietest.
Yeah. The Heritage is the most closely related to it, I felt, tonally.
Yes.
Again, the Neo Creamback added the sparkle to the M65.
Mm-hmm.
The H-75 added... Arr!
Yeah.
Essentially. Arr! It's got a lot of arr. The Redback added to it. And
Yeah.
it's essentially that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't make a higher noise as the Neo Creamback otherwise. It's up there. I'll go and hit a cymbal. Okay, cool. Do we need to try some more sounds through those? Or I feel we've got a clear pattern.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to try something a bit more like fuzzy, distorted, it's up to you.
Let's do just one more thing.
One more thing. Let's
start with it on its own. So, guys, just in case you didn't realise, I'm holding this up and the top one's whatever's the extra speaker. If I do that, it's because I'm just going back to whatever is our main speaker, so the M65 in this case, on its own, so you can hear it, and then you can hear what each of them has. And that was actually quite interesting. So I might do that this time. I might do M65 on its own, and then add a speaker, then go back to the M65 on its own and add a different speaker, so you can hear what each one adds. So if you keep playing the same thing, I'll go through that, and then we could do the comparisons between the mixes, and then we'll stop, swap them around, do it again. Actually, but we'll have lunch in between that and the next.
Right, I'm going to go for something a little bit more of a generic single riff.
So this is just starting with the M65. I'm here. Hello.
Go bridge or neck.
Middle.
Middle.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So I've noticed something different about the Heritage then. The Heritage, although it doesn't have the top end of the Neo Creamback or the Redback, it adds focus and clarity.
That's a great
You hear more of the note.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
The Neo Creamback, and so this is something I noticed in one of the previous videos, when you add the Neo Creamback, you hear more of the string. You hear the pick-on string and that top-endy stuff, and that comes through more. The sound of you know how when you're playing clean, you hear the string.
Yes.
You hear really what's going on with the guitar. And when you add dirt, that gets lost quite quickly, but the Neo Creamback brings out the bit of cleanness that's sneaking through amongst the dirt more. It brings out that pick-on string, finger-on string. The H-75 consistently does its foghorn trick. Just going through there.
Yeah.
And the Redback consistently sounds like someone who likes metal has tweaked your EQ.
Yes.
It's cool, but yeah, Heritage is very good, I think, with the 65M.
Yeah, again,
they are related. They are really quite similar.
In the way that I felt like the Neo Creamback was amplifying the great qualities of this, I feel like this is then kind of filling in the blanks of this one.
Interesting. They pair
to
nicely,
my ears,
don't
yeah,
they?
I think they pair quite nicely because without it, it sounds a little bit like, but it's just because it's a lower power, kind of like a lower volume, and if maybe it's the kind of driver, if you were to really crank it, you'd get the benefit of it.
I think the consistent thing I've noticed about the M65 is I think it's a very undemanding driver. I think it makes your stuff sound good because it's colourful and interesting. I think it hides your mistakes more. I think it's I mean, there's some of the gear we sell is really demanding. Like if you play through a Copperback, I know we've done some videos with the Copperback, and the comments we get on the videos generally is, "Oh, I love the Redback," and people go, "Oh, the Copperback's a bit much." Whilst us in the room and you playing it, I've gone, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
Because it lets every bit of feeling through, and it might not sound pretty, but we don't necessarily want it to sound pretty. No. We just want to say what we want to say.
Yeah, I think for me as a player, maybe compared to Louis, like I feel like my pick attack is a little bit more harsh. So yeah. Maybe that's where I'm kind of leaning more towards the Neo Creamback.
Yeah.
Because it's giving me more of the string. Whereas maybe for somebody that has slightly subtler playing, it's like it sounds a bit like you're not giving it your all. And
I mean,
maybe the same with the Copperback as well, because I think maybe it's just the magnet type, and it's just.
They are absolutely it's the Neo thing. Oh, so that's interesting. You like the Neo magnets?
Yeah.
I like Neo magnets. They do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fast. There's much less compression, more top end, more immediate, more accurate. Which is why, because some people are like, "Oh, you need heavy magnets for proper sound, particularly in bass. You need heavy magnets." Most of those massive PA systems you're hearing, you know, at Glastonbury, at Coachella, or all these huge things, you know, it's powering Taylor Swift's tour or Ed Sheeran's tour or any of this stuff. Neo magnets. It's Neo magnets in pretty much everything. Massive for Neo magnets powering 18s and 21s and huge horn drivers that handle massive power and that would just completely deafen you if you were up close. Yeah. Neo magnets are really good if you just want to send your sound from the amp into a speaker and get as much of that sound out as possible. Ceramic magnets just aren't as honest. They are more flawed, and Alnico magnets are flawed, again, in a different way. But it makes them sound nice to some people.
Yeah.
You know, and this... I don't know what magnets are on this. Because I was talking... I saw Il Sogno del Marinara, if I pronounced that right, a few days ago in Brighton at the Hope and Ruin. So that was Stefano, Paolo, and legendary Mike Watt. Why have I picked up this bass? This is the wrong bass. Sorry, this is an aside. But he was playing his Watt Plower, and this is Watt Plower, the good guys at Reverend gave us after I'd helped a little with it. These are ceramic magnets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alnico on this. This is Rio Grande or Rio Grande pickup. I don't think they're going anymore. I think the boss is no more. But this is a lovely sounding pickup, and I said to Watt during the gig, because I was watching him quite closely, being like, this is really cool seeing a bass legend this close, playing this much. And he was doing everything, because I was trying to see where the pickup switch was. I couldn't spot that. I spotted him doing the volume knobs, but I guess you can flick the three-way quite quickly. But he said he used all the different settings through the gig. He was moving the tone knob, volume a bit, and changing between the different pickups.
Amazing.
And I commented on how I love the top end on this pickup, and that's what I was saying. Alnico. I think Alnico, because of the way it basically gets flexed by other things. So if you've got a magnetic field, a neo-magnetic field is really stiff and it doesn't really move, regardless of what ferromagnetic things move around it or what electric fields and electromagnetic fields are moved around it. The neo-magnetic field just goes, I'm here, and I will push back against you really hard. Whilst the ceramic one gives a little, and the ceramic one struggles more with temperature and other sorts of compression, and the Alnico gives a lot. It's got this squishiness to it, and that's why you don't get the treble extension, but you get this lovely softness and colour in the top end, which we hear on Alnico pickups and we hear on Alnico speakers.
Yes.
So it's a Cool. So I don't know why I was talking about that. Oh, Neo.
Yes.
You like the detail of Neo. It all
Yes.
comes through.
Yeah.
But it's intolerant of bad playing.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I like it.
All right.
Are we stopping there with that? And then, yes, we've done some sounds.
I think we've done
Some sounds. We'll go and have some lunch, we'll swap some speakers around, and then we shall continue, and this will hopefully make a video or two in coherent form. We're barefaced. Well, some are barefaced.
Yes.
Alex, it's Davey. He edits things and
I
does
do.
many other things. Bye! See you soon!